going on there, YouTube? This is SCL0320 representing JVS. I'm back here again for a brand new movie review. I really appreciate all of y'all for commenting on my question I had about y'all for movie reviews. I'm going to continue to do movie reviews the best of my ability, whether it be genre specific or just be something that I love. Movie reviews are what I do love, and I'm going to continue to do so. So I really appreciate the encouragement. I will talk about that later on in another video. But tonight, this is all about the Mockingjay Part 2, Hunger Games, the end of a franchise essentially. Jennifer Lawrence is back. Philip Seymour Hoffman is one of the last movies he actually did before he died last year. Notable mentions would definitely be Woody Harrelson, Josh Hutcherson, Liam Hemsworth, and I mean all-star cast. Even you got freaking Julianne Moore played Coin. Either way, what did I think about this movie as a whole? So I'll go ahead and try to break it down as far as visuals, soundtrack, captivating actor performances, and then I guess the story, which I'll end on that. So the visual aesthetic for this one, they spared no expense for the visual of this. Like those sequences where you actually see the hover planes and the carriers like going between District 13, District 2 and stuff like that. Even like the action sequences, like when they were in the Capitol and the game makers had devised all these different kind of traps, I was like, wow. Like this, I mean, a lot of people didn't like Part 1 because it didn't have the action that they wanted to see from the books, and Part 2 delivered on that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is definitely one of the more action-packed ones. Just the difference is the stakes don't feel the same. Like when you look at Catching Fire or even the Hunger Games, there's a feeling that anybody can die at any time. Yes, you feel that, but it's been recycled so much. When you get to this point, you're like, you don't have enough time to feel when something bad is about to happen, or the impending doom, or the impending danger, or even when somebody just dies. Like there's one point in that specific sequence where there's like this flowing thing of oil or either tar, and somebody gets like killed. It's like when it happens, it's shocking, but then I don't have enough time to process it because there's always continuous things that are flushing through, which I'm gonna go into my dissection about why I thought that this would have been better to have in maybe 3 parts. But I'll go into that a little bit. But as far as the visual effects, as far as the action sequences, even like the choreographed fight sequence, like there was one where they were underground. It was done really well. Characters like Finnick, even like Candace herself, like she was going in. I was like, I had forgotten the fact that this girl can go, And I mean, you never really get to see Candace go on full on against a war of these troops that Snow has. That's what I was kind of waiting for. I hadn't read the books, so I didn't know. But I was like, if that would have ever happened, I would have been like, let's go. Because so many different stakes were just there. As well as even the camera angles. The camera angles was actually done pretty well. Production was done really well. So I give that an A for effort. Now, as far as the soundtrack is concerned, I think the soundtrack with certain notions of songs, specifically in Mockingjay Part 2 and then Catching Fire, I think the score is a little bit different, disjointed in this one. It didn't take anything away from the aesthetic of the movie, but it's a little different. As far as the acting is concerned, Jennifer Lawrence, she can do no wrong. The girl can just flat out act. I think there's certain roles that she get in, she puts herself in a bind. But the girl, bruh, she delivers on this character because a lot of people are going to undersee it, but looking at it from a grand scope, looking from the first movie into this one, what she's lost on multiple different accords, the injuries that she ensues, even like in this one, like I believe she gets shot, she gets burnt, like her vocal cords got crushed from the last movie. Like Jennifer Lawrence plays that role so well. The only issue is that this is not something that is rated R film. So it was like when she got her larynx crushed or whatever, she was just talking normal later on. Versus like the more reality of this is like, it's a possibility she might even sound the same ever again. And I think she could have acted that, but that's not something they wanted to deliver for the movie because they needed the pacing, the audience to hear her and actually see her pain as she's going through it. But I mean, for what she's given for her character, Katniss Everdeen, she plays it to a T, like she always does, even to the very end. Like, at the very end, one thing I'll comment is that she is so emotionally gone that I was like, why is she not crying over this? You know, and this is a non-spoiler review. I'm not going to reveal to y'all what happens at the end or anything like that. But I couldn't believe when she does break down, I was like, that's acting. But to be honest with you, Josh Hutcherson, his character Peter gets more of a payoff than Liam's character. Liam's character in this one, I felt like he was like, why are you nagging about like your relational ties with this girl? Like, oh well, you love Peter, or well, you like this, and like I don't know how you feel about me, even though I really love you. I'm like, bro, this is life and death joint. I understand you lost your whole people. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you've been promised to take care of Katniss. I know you love the girl. But I was like, there were moments where he was like talking with Peter or talking with Katniss or looking snidely when she was like looking at Peter. I was like, this is not the time to get jealous, bro. I don't care if it was in the books or not. Like, it diminished his character for me. I was like, it's so trivial. And I mean, maybe that was because of the payoff towards the end where his character goes. But I was like, man, Liam's character just fell off for me, man. I felt bad for the character Gale because it lost relevance for me. Even like the characters Finnick and Haymitch. Woody Harrelson's Haymitch. I was looking forward to seeing Haymitch go in. Like, what was his skill set when he was, you know, in the games? Like, how can he defend himself? What is it gonna look like him actually in a fight in the war? And that never happens in this movie, unfortunately. I wanted to see that. I'm not even sure if it's in the books, but I was like, I would have loved to seen it. Who else? So Sam Coughlin that plays Finnick. Like, I get to see Finnick go through like a wedding, you know what I'm saying? Like, and actually prospects of happiness, and then I see him in a fight sequence, and then his character just goes nowhere. I was like, I didn't have time to even feel when he was going through his character development. And he plays the character well. It's just, I mean, it is just too much going on for me to even resonate with it. Even like Prim. Candace's sister, Primrose. There are things that happen with her in this movie that honestly I should have felt more for on a weight level, considering everything that Candace was going through already, that I didn't really feel because I felt like I didn't have time to. And I'll go into that with the movie, but like I said, I think Josh Hudson as Peter, considering like his mental shape, and especially in this movie, I was like, he came out smelling like a rose. Like, I mean, I really loved his character. Like, his character had broad depths. Not just that, like, connections with Candace. Like, there was a dialogue sequence that Candace was talking to him about. He was asking him what's real and what's not. I don't know anymore. And he had asked her, like, when something was happening, like, was this real? And she described specifically the things that he liked, loved, talked about, what he does. And I was just like, those sequences were really well thought out, paced, written, and they were done really well. And I mean, I love how they did Peter in this one. The only thing that I'll say that I had a problem with was Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, Plutridge. Only reason why I say that is because he died. Philip Seymour died. Rest in peace, Philip. But his character has so much weight towards the end of the movie that is only delivered in a letter format, and it could have been so much more dynamic. Even if they would have tried to do a CG version of him, I don't know what they could have done, unfortunately, but it was like, I felt like more needed to be done with the Capitol, with Snow, and with Julianne Moore's character, with him involved in it. And it would have made everything more well-rounded versus me seeing kind of like clips or the paper or the letter that he wrote to Candace. It would have had so much more weight in development. I think that could have been a whole separate section in and of itself, as well as seeing where after the aftermath of the war goes. Oh wow, my neck kind of hurt for a second there. I apologize. I'm still going through physical therapy, by the way. But yeah, I mean, everybody did their job acting-wise. They did a really good job. I think Elizabeth Banks didn't have much to do with in this one, as well as, like I said, Jenna Malone didn't really have that much to do. When Secrecy she was in, she did a good job. Julianne Moore, this time around, I didn't like her character, but that might have been because of writing. But as far as the story is concerned, like the story starts off with how it ended, with Candace literally petrified around Peter. Like she can't trust him, she doesn't know how to be around him. And it's like he just has nothing but envy and hate in his heart for her because of what Snow did to him. And even with Snow's planning, it's like all these different levels of dissension and mistrust, and it's a lot of things that are always continuously happening. The first half, it sets off pretty well. Middle section, I was thinking, at a certain point, I was like, there are no ways for this not to end very deathly. And I don't know if they just pay much attention to that as they could from a movie standpoint, from a cinematic standpoint, as far as the writing is concerned. Because I felt like the pacing for it, when the action was really happening, it was going so fast that I was like, it wasn't able to resonate with me the way that I wanted it to. That's not to say the story wasn't good, because they do touch on like who Katniss Everdeen is at this point, what has happened to the Capitol, and what is it the grand scheme of Snow. Those things get done and talked about, but as far as Julianne Moore's character, what her real resolve and her perspective is, this comes out of nowhere. As well as with Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, I was like, it could go somewhere, and it doesn't. And so those take away from the story for me, but still was a good ending. It ended the nicest way that it could have. I'll just say that. Would it have been better for them to kind of go a different route as opposed to the books from an adaptation standpoint? I think so. But for what it was, looking at all the way back from the first one, I had a great ride with this one. This was a lot better than Twilight series. It was just, it was a good series. It was a good ending to it. As far as the rating is concerned, I can't give it a number, but I would probably give it a B minus, maybe. Either a C plus or a B minus. I don't want to give it a number because I'm not saying it's a bad movie, because I love the franchise. I own all of them. So I was excited for this one. The Mockingjay Part 1, I only watched once, and I've only watched my Blu-ray once, only because the end sequence with Peter and how he just wrapped his arms around her, the man that, loved Candace unconditionally and knew her, was destroyed from a byproduct of who she meant to be and his destiny, being the savior of these people, and it hit me so hard. And that's one of the things about this franchise is so meaty, is that through the performances and through the pacing of the characters that delivered on that. Was it as strong in this one? No. So yeah, that's what I give it, B minus. Hopefully y'all enjoyed my review for Mockingjay Part 2, and I'm about to go watch Gotham and Supergirl and give y'all some reviews for those as well. Thanks everybody. Y'all have a blessed night. JVS, we out. Peace.